Hey, hey, it's Tuesday.
And if you're here, I'm sure you know what that means.
I'm Alex, and this is Lucas.
And I'm Amber.
And this is a new episode of True Crime and Chill.
Fall is definitely in full swing, I'd say. I mean, at least in the Pacific Northwest, the air is crisper, there's pumpkin spice everything, and we've been starting to see frost in the mornings.
Maybe up there it may be sweater weather, but here in Tennessee it's still sweating weather. Kind of. Kind of.
I miss the warmth. I'm ready for summer to come back any day.
So we have, um, like this morning, it was like 40 degrees outside this morning when we first woke up.
Mhm.
And it's been like a mid 60s all day. Like, you need at least a long sleeve shirt or a jacket or a light jacket outside right now, but it's still sunny enough to where it's warm. However, when you get into my car, you sweat to death. So you can go ahead and take the warmth. I want the spooky weather because Halloween, 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 spooky, 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 spooky.
Well, with Halloween on the horizon, this week we're covering a case that was sent to us at the end of last year. We're nearing the anniversary of her disappearance, so I felt it was an appropriate time to cover it.
Yes, we need to get more awareness for this case out.
Yeah, absolutely. So this week we're discussing the disappearance of Kristine Kupka. Kristine Kupka was a romantic, if for no other reason than moving from Wisconsin to New York to pursue her idea of a better life. She lived in Brooklyn in a little area known as Kensington. She rented 2 floors of a home from a Turkish family and sublet the other rooms to help cover the costs to other people. So she had 5 roommates, including 2 college students like herself.
Mm.
Kristine was a student at Baruch College studying philosophy. She was 2 months away from graduation with a 3.97 GPA. Kristine had founded the school's philosophy club and planned to attend law school and become a civil rights attorney focusing specifically on women's issues. She also worked as a waitress at a local Caribbean restaurant near Chelsea Piers that she reportedly loved. To anyone who knew her, she seemed happy. But, like anyone, Kristine had troubles. While she was attending school, she met Darshanand Persaud, whom everyone seemed to know as Rudy. He was a lab instructor at her school. After he filed her grades and the class ended, they began dating. In October of 1998, Kristine was 5 months pregnant and Rudy was the father.
So it seemed a little fast, I guess, but I mean, it's not really unusual to see teachers or professors or anything like that date their students. It's kind of nice that they waited till after she wasn't in his class anymore because that can cause a lot of conflict, I guess.
Very calculated, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Well, and while to some people that might seem bad, of course, it's about to get a whole lot worse. As it turns out, Rudy was married.
Of course he is.
Oh yeah, and he was recently married. And when I say recently, I mean he wasn't married when Kristine got pregnant. He initially
You're kidding.
denied it, right. He initially denied that he could be the baby's father, claiming he had a partial vasectomy, but he eventually backed out of that declaration. According to Kristine's family and friends, Rudy was angry and scared of the pregnancy, telling Kristine that his family would disown him if she carried their baby to term. He was a Guyanese immigrant, and his father was a Hindu priest.
You know, it really don't matter what religion they come from. Men have the audacity. Always. Always. Not only did this man get married while he was dating her, like, did she know that he was married or that he was getting married? That's my question, too.
She found out that he was married when she revealed to him that she was pregnant.
Oh my God. Could you imagine? Like, you're so excited that you're pregnant with your boyfriend, and all of a sudden he's like, guess what? I'm married. Oh my God. I would die.
Well, and I
No.
mean, it's interesting because when when I was dating my son's father, he was very like, women's rights, like against abortion. He didn't think there was any reason. And then when he found out I was expecting, suddenly he wanted me to get an abortion.
Of course. Of course, because that's how it goes.
It's said that Kristine was looking forward to becoming a single mother, and she's described as intelligent and strong willed. Kristine and Rudy's relationship cooled, obviously, because she found out he was married.
Oh yeah.
And Kristine allegedly spoke to Rudy's wife on the phone a few times. According to her family, Kristine said that she reached his wife after attempting to get a hold of Rudy by paging him, if that says anything. Kristine told his wife she didn't want to disrupt their family, but she wanted Rudy to be a part of their child's life, and said that she worried about the baby's emotional well-being if it didn't have a relationship with both parents. According to Kristine, Rudy's wife became angry at him after learning about Kristine's pregnancy. Kristine had intended to name Rudy as the father on their child's birth certificate. She also planned to ask him for financial support for the baby if it became necessary.
I mean, as she should. He is the dad. It's
Right.
not her. She didn't know that he was in a relationship. She didn't know that he was married until afterwards. Like, that's not on her.
Right.
And I mean, I get it. Okay, I get that the wife was angry, but at the same time, if the wife like knew, like, hey, like, she'd had no clue, then she had no clue. Like, that's not on her. That's not like.
It's really not. It's
I'm
the
sorry,
only
if that
person
was
it's
my
really
husband,
on is Rudy.
I'd be beating his ass up and down the street.
Well, apparently, what happened after all this is Rudy reappeared in Kristine's life. She told friends that he showed up at her door claiming his wife threw him out and he was having to stay with a cousin. It's not really said whether or not Kristine believed him, but she told her family that she encouraged him to reconcile with his wife. But before this happened, Rudy had been encouraging Kristine to abort the baby, like I said. However, when he arrived at her door after apparently being thrown out, Rudy became more supportive of the pregnancy, going so far as to even suggest names and offering to be the birthing coach. This was, of course, confusing for Kristine.
So if I feel like he was doing that because he realized, oh, well, she's the only other person in my life that I have now because my wife threw me out. But at the same time, if you're looking at it from true crime aspect, it could be, oh, if I look like the doting father, if something happens, then it won't be cast on me. Ain't that right?
Well, on October 24th of 1998, Kristine left a message with her sister that she was going out with Rudy to see his new apartment and help him clean it, and she would call later. That call never came.
Of course it isn't. Because why would the call come? Because she probably, oh my God, why would she go? Okay, I can't even say why would she go with him alone because I know why she would go with him alone because she thinks she can trust him. But at the same time, if he's all of a sudden doing a 180 and acting like father of the year after just acting like this, like he didn't want anything to do with baby, nothing,
Right, and then
then
his wife apparently threw him out,
I
and so
would
now
definitely be
he's
taking precautions. I wouldn't be
reversed.
going over to an apartment alone with him. I wouldn't be, but at the same time, I can kind of see where she's coming from because she wants her family to be together.
Well, Kristine's family was alerted to her disappearance by her roommate, one of her roommates, who was concerned after Kristine didn't return home that evening. Kristine's family located Rudy's home and confronted him about Kristine's whereabouts. Rudy's mother alerted her son to the family's arrival, and the police were called to prevent any altercations in case a conflict started. When questioned, Rudy said that he picked Kristine up to take her to a nearby shopping mall. Rudy told the family members that he drove her to the shopping center and then waited in his car for her to return from shopping. Rudy claimed that he dropped Kristine off 2 blocks from her home between 3 p.m. and 4 p.m. as she wanted to walk to a nearby health food store. When Kristine's family asked him which shopping mall he'd taken her to, he said he didn't know and stayed in the car while she shopped. So I'm going to take a quick pause here because Kristine is 5 months pregnant. So he just let her go into the shopping center by herself. And then he let her carry whatever she got at the shopping center 2 blocks to a health food store where she would have picked up more things and just let her carry all of that home. I feel it's also important to note at this time that Kristine's family later found out that Rudy's wife never threw him out.
Okay, so obviously that's a whole other issue in itself. So he's lying about that again. Again. So obviously this dude just can't stop lying too. Okay, I understand being like 5 months pregnant and like wanting to do your own thing and everything, and I understand like wanting to like be self sufficient and stuff. Like I very much get that. However, why would you drop? You wouldn't drop your 5 month pregnant anyone. Doesn't matter if it's your mother, sister, daughter, girlfriend. Doesn't matter. Off and let her walk 2 blocks to the health food store along with whatever she supposedly got at the shopping mall to pick up whatever she wants to get at the health food store. That's a lot of stuff for one person to carry, even when you're not pregnant. Like, what the heck?
Right. Right. I
And
agree.
then he can't even tell you, like, what mall you went to. So you can't even, like, tell me, like, oh, it's over by, like, a McDonald's or a gas station or something.
Well, especially because he says he sat in the car. There'd be a sign, like, right there,
Yeah.
that if you waited that whole time, you would have kept looking at the sign. You would know.
Yeah.
So Kristine's loved ones then questioned people in the neighborhood. Kristine's sister, Kathy, and her family worked around the clock, searching, putting up posters in the neighborhood, reading, "Please help me find my 5 months pregnant sister," keeping the pressure on police and staying beside the telephone. Kristine's mother, Elaine Bodell, and other family members flew in from Wisconsin, where the siblings were born and raised, to aid in the search. A laundromat owner said that he thought he'd seen her walking past his establishment, and the proprietor of an area health food store said that she might have seen her at around 7 p.m. the day of her disappearance. Later, though, the health food store owner changed her mind and decided the woman she saw was not Kristine, since the woman was wearing peach-colored pants, which apparently Kristine didn't own any peach-colored pants. Authorities have questioned Rudy just once, shortly after Kristine's disappearance. He hired an attorney a few days later and has not granted any further interviews. The Kupka family employed an ex-New York Police Department private investigator to do everything they could to publicize the case. The investigator has stated publicly that he believes Rudy was involved in her disappearance, because duh, and Rudy has never been charged in connection with Kristine's case, and he maintains his innocence. Authorities have said that he was cooperative during his single interview, but have also mentioned that he did not have an alibi for the time Kristine vanished, and they felt he was evasive at times during the questioning. Detectives have stated that there isn't much, if any, physical evidence to prove what happened to Kristine, and nothing linking Rudy to her disappearance beyond motive, but they do believe that she was the victim of a homicide. Meanwhile, Kathy continues to pass out flyers. She rented a billboard along the Brooklyn-Queens Expressway, hounded Rudy, held prayer vigils, and visited the suspected site of Kristine's murder or entombment. In June of 2000, she slammed the New York Police Department in an impassioned City Hall hearing, stating that cops were slow to act in that life and death case. It was 7 days after Kristine's disappearance before cops started a missing persons investigation. She says, and I quote, "To the police, my sister Kristine was a flake, a tramp, a drug dealer, an obsessed woman, unreliable, and a conniver." And this is what she told to the City Council's Public Safety Committee.
I, I see, but that makes a lot of sense too, because it's again the missing white woman syndrome that is out there, or whatever, the missing upper class white woman syndrome. And this guy, I the fact that it took them 7 days just to open up a missing persons case, one day, maybe two, I understand, but seven, like
And she's that
seriously, she's
pregnant.
pregnant.
Right. Right. Well,
I can't.
so Kathy and Gil Alba, who's the private investigator, they pleaded with Rudy's cousin, who was the owner of an auto supply store, to let them search his store because they suspected that she could have been there. But apparently he, and I quote, "got nasty," and they
Of
stopped
course he
asking.
did.
In 2010, police began digging up the basement floor of that same shop. Police weren't able to search the store thoroughly until the cousins sold the building, and the new owner of the shop, C&B Plumbing, gave the New York Police Department permission to hunt for clues. One section of the concrete wasn't like the other, and a cadaver-sniffing dog indicated the presence of human remains. However, nothing was found. Investigators suspected Kupka was either buried at the site at one point or killed there and moved elsewhere. There is an episode of Forensic Files where they found the remains of a woman in a dirt floor of a basement of her killer. It took a couple of searches, though, because they were alerting to the spot where the body was placed while the killer was digging. There were also other stories that included cadaver dogs alerting in homes or cars being used as evidence that somebody's body had been there for a time.
So the whole body being not there, but cadaver dogs smelling it. It reminds me of like the Kristen Smart case that is gaining more traction now and everything, because that's literally what happened. Is the cadaver dogs, when they searched the house, realized that they realized that there was human remains that were there, but they had been recently moved. So this is definitely something that could have happened where Rudy did something, the cousin helped him cover it up, and she was there, but then they were like, oh well, we have to move the body once we sell the building, because they have no other motive to search the building, because there's no reason to know that she was there. And that's
Right.
the thing. And it, it's really hard to convict anybody without a body 99% of the time.
Yeah,
You have to
and that's the
have
hardest part about it is if there's
well,
no body.
you have to have like a murder weapon with like DNA from both the killer and the victim on it, and you
Right.
have to have like video evidence showing like, oh, this is the exact moment they were killed, but we can't find a body and stuff like that. You have to have like damning evidence to be able to convict anybody without a body nowadays,
Especially in
because
adults, because there's always that possibility that they escaped, they ran away to start a new life by themselves.
yep.
And so without a body, it's really hard to have an actual case,
Oh yeah.
unfortunately.
Oh yeah.
So, the Daily News in 2010 reported that Kristine's sister Kathy traveled to Florida, where Rudy was living with his wife and children and had a dental practice, because apparently he's no longer a teacher.
Oh,
And,
I wonder why.
yeah, and she confronted him. She sent photos of Kristine to them. She's gone through years of counseling and suffered from depression and anxiety. Quote, I can't even describe what it's like to go through this, she told the Daily News in 2005. It's the same year the case was assigned to the Cold Case Squad. She says, I got divorced, and I think Kristine's disappearance was a big reason. She herself stopped teaching. She has spent tens of thousands of dollars in her search. She wants answers, and she deserves them. Their mother has passed away without any closure to this case. If you have any information about Kristine, no matter how insignificant you think it might be, please call Detective D'Alessandro at 718-834-4580 or 1-800-577-TIPS. You can also email info@KristineKupka.com.
Thank you for listening to True Crime and Chill. For more information, including case notes, photos, and sources, please visit our website at truecrimeandchill.com. You can also stay connected with us on social media. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Look for new episodes from us each week on Tuesday.